is Ed for another of the fabulous Ed Talks, and I still don't like the name because I'm not sure that, because I really don't want to talk that much. And today I've got Dan McIntyre, and we're going to talk about the fabulous Horribles Parade. We're going to talk about the history of the Horribles Parade. We're going to talk about some of my foolishness in the Horribles Parade, and we'll probably talk about some other people's foolishness in the Horribles Parade. So, Dan.
Hello, good afternoon. It's great to be here. Before we get started on the Horribles Parade, though, could I just mention one thing?
Sure.
Last year, you got on the cover of Billboard magazine.
I did.
Remember?
Oh, damn straight I remember. Look.
And you carried it around. That's good.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So Eileen and I were talking at dinner the other night. We were very impressed with how you parlayed that little recognition into your own cable TV show. And if they ever build sidewalks in Woodville, I'm sure you'll have a star in the Walk of Fame.
Wait a minute. There is a sidewalk in Woodville.
Is there really?
Yes, there is.
Oh, okay.
It goes from not quite.
Goes from nowhere to nowhere.
Oh, God. It goes from not quite Winter Street to not quite 203, if I remember.
I guess you're right. I think you're right.
I said Winter Street. I meant Wood Street.
Mechanic Street to...
No, it goes past Mechanic
Does it
Street.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it doesn't quite make it to Fruit Street.
Well, anyways, you should have a star in that Walk of Fame.
Well, thank you, sir. I'm sure with all your pull, you'll pull it off.
I don't have any pull in the DPW anymore. I used to. I don't have any more.
So anyway, I want to know about the history.
So yeah, the Horribles Parade, it's not just Hopkins. There's a number of Horribles parades throughout New England. It's kind of a New England tradition. There's not too many left, and which is why we want to try to keep Hopkinton's Horribles Parade going. But the history is kind of, as the name implies, it's kind of a Horribles Parade as compared to a traditional 4th of July parade where everybody's in their great attire in red, white, and blue. And a lot of it is, we want to be kind of pick on political campaigns and candidates and the topics of the day, and kind of a lot of satire in it. And that's the kind of the tradition that we try to uphold in Hopkinton.
So do you have any fine examples that you could hold up of past?
None that HCAM will have to blur out some things. I don't know. But it's you know, it started back in the 30s in Hopkinton. My grandfather started it back then. He lived up on Pleasant Street, and basically there wasn't much to do on the 4th of July. Hopkinton was a pretty small town back then, and was up until probably the 80s.
Were there probably not even 5,000 people?
Oh, less than that. Yeah, I'm thinking 2,500, 3,000 maybe. So he lived on Pleasant Street, and he just got all the kids together, and they just kind of did floats and things. He worked down at the Denison. So he had access to a lot of paper products and things like that. So he'd bring paper home, and the kids would make signs, and they'd march up and down the street. And then it finally evolved into a much bigger parade where a lot of the town got involved. In the 50s and 60s, it was really big then, and even into the 70s, it was pretty big parade. But it would follow the same route, you know, around the Common, up Haven Road, down Grove, down Pleasant Street, and back to the Common. Back in the day, after that, everybody would head over to our property on Wood Street, where McIntyre Loom is now. That's where kind of the McIntyre compound was. You know, my parents built the house there. My two uncles lived each other's side there. We had a big field, and everybody would go back for a big cookout and pony rides and all kinds of things on the 4th of July before 495 came in and ruined everyone's lives. So we're trying to keep the tradition going. And, you know, the couple of things, you know, when my brother died, that was a big hit. You know, try to get that took a lot out of me. So, and then we had the pandemic, where we didn't have it for at least 1 year, and then all the construction up around the Common, we lost a couple of years there. So we're trying to get the tradition back. The other thing is, all the kids have grown up. So my kids have got kids of their own, and they moved out of town because nobody can afford Hopkinton anymore. So that it'll be nice to get new blood in there. And Ken Wisemantle happened to come along, and he's trying to keep it going as well, which unfortunately brought in kind of the political aspect of it, because he's head of the Republican Town Committee, and the Democrats don't like that. And Hopkinton's a tough town politically. So.
Yeah, I have to tell you, when we moved here in 1981, we were advised by June Singhhouse, Dr. Singhouse's wife.
Yeah.
She said, be very careful what you say to anybody about anybody, because the odds are they're related. And you've already alluded to an incident where you somehow inadvertently offended someone on the Horribles parade.
Apparently. Well, it wasn't me. I think it was Tommy. But yeah, Dr. Singhouse, he mended many of my bones.
Well, he mended a bunch of mine, too, which is how I came to know his wife. And they came to our housewarming party on Spring Lane when we moved in. Salt of the earth people, but that kind of gets us off. So what can we do? I mean, I can tell a little bit about my personal foibles on the Horribles parade, which of course I think are totally hysterical. But
not everybody gets your sense of humor, though.
I know that. I've been reminded of that, especially by my wife. But you got to have at least one good story from your participation.
Well, I guess my favorite story was a few years ago. Somehow it involved into water balloons and fights. I'm not sure how that all started. I think I blame the Marquardants and the Terrys. But every time we head up Hayden Row Street, we get by their houses, we just get bombed by water balloons. But so this one year, we're getting up to the Common with our float and things, and we see a horse-drawn carriage coming up with someone dressed up as a bride. And we said, well, that's kind of cool float. So, someone hit her with a water balloon. Come to find out, she didn't come up to the Common. She turned up Church Street. She was getting married that day. So we didn't think that was too good. But a few years later, when Colleen was getting married, we'd go to a flower store to get flower arrangement, things like that. And the woman doing the flowers asked, when you get married and where you get married? Oh, we'll get married in July at St. John's. Oh, she goes, I got married there on July 4th. And we're thinking, she says, did we hit you with a water balloon? She says, yes, you did. But she was a good sport about it. They talk about it at all their anniversaries.
I'm sure.
It made their wedding day.
I am
getting
sure.
hit by a water balloon.
I'm sure. And that must be a great omen.
She's still married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Must be a great omen. It's like, I'm getting off track, but at 3:45 in the morning coming home from my first date from my dear wife, I got stopped on the Mass Turnpike for speeding.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like really seriously speeding.
Wow.
That was back when the speed limit was 55.
Yikes.
And the first words out of the state cop's mouth were, "What are you, some kind of nut?" And I go,
Wow.
I should point out it was November 3rd. I had the top down. It was 3:45 in the morning. And the next thing he said, what are you, some kind of, no. And then he said, don't you know it's cold out? And all I got was a warning. So that was a good omen, too, because we're still married all these years later.
That's good.
So
well, let me tell you my state police story.
Yeah.
I get a call from Eileen. She's pregnant with Colleen, our firstborn. She said, I think I got to go to the hospital. So I was at work, so I said, all right, well, I'm flying home, going down the highway. State trooper passes me in the fast lane. Says, well, I'll get behind him and just follow him. So I followed him all the way, and then I cut off my exit. And somehow he got behind me and pulled me over on a side street. And license and registration. I said, here you go, but I'm trying to get home. My wife's got to get to the hospital. She's pregnant. And he just sat in his cruiser for about 10 minutes. And this is back the day before cell phones.
Yeah, yeah.
So finally, I said, well, I'm going to get out of the car and go back and talk to him. That was the wrong thing to do. As soon as I got out of the car and walked back to him, he had the gun on me.
Oh,
Oh, all right. So I jumped back in the car, and I yelled at him, says, can you call my wife at home and let him know what's going on? Let her know what's going on. So he did that, and he finally let me go. He escorted me back home. So it was a false alarm. We didn't have the baby that day, but we had the baby a couple days later. He still wrote me up. I still got a ticket. But I did go to court with my wife and Colleen in my arms, and the judge let me off. So that was good. But anyways, here's our shameless plug. Hopefully the selectmen will approve the parade permit this year. We'll have it July 4th at Town Common at noontime. Anybody is welcome to come up and join. You don't have to do anything fancy. Just if you want to get in a costume, you want to walk, hold signs, whatever you want to do. Participation is really paramount in these parades. And it doesn't have to be political. I know with Ken Wisemantle as the chair of the Republican Party, it's somewhat political, and the Democrats don't like that. But for years, you know, Rosemary Lynch ran this parade for years, and she was probably the biggest Democrat that I can remember. And Lily and Len Holden, big Republicans, they did it for a number of years. So it's all inclusive.
and it's much, much fun. As much fun as you can make. So this picture came into my hands from a source that I am sworn to protect. It's undated, and to me it strikes my sense of humor. Dan, what do you think?
Well, yeah, it does. That looks like the Republican Town Committee float.
Because my dear wife is very organized, I have some scrapbooks, and this one is from 1998, and
Wow.
we recruited quite a crew, and we went as Ninja Turtles, and we were swashbucklers. We had swords, we had super soakers, we had our masks on.
Yeah, you were in a little boat there or something?
Yeah, we had our boat, and what I can't find is the picture where we're towing my daughter's red wagon, which we stopped on the way to the parade at the boat ramp, and we filled the red wagon up with weeds. And that was kind of the essence.
Are there weeds in Lake Maspinock?
No, Whitehall.
Oh, Whitehall? Oh, okay.
Yes, and there's more weeds than ever in Whitehall. 'Cause
there are.
I won't
There
get
are.
into that because that's a whole other topic. So anyway, this is from 1998, and we were, as you see, a very colorful bunch.
Yeah. Boy, you
And-
have aged a lot, haven't you?
And
Did you get a trophy?
we got a trophy.
You got a trophy that
We got a trophy. Look at that.
Wow. The Children's Award.
Second.
Much improved. This is, I think this is the Children's Award from last year.
Yeah.
Upgetting Children's Award, yeah.
So we got short change, but this has a place of honor in our living room. And then,
But what everybody's after is the Horribles trophy. That's the grand prize.
well, I've done my best.
And there used to be, not sure when to take down, but there used to be a big plaque in the selectmen's room in Town Hall. And every year there would be a little signature on there of who won the Horribles parade that year. But I think that's been taken down, and it's probably in the basement somewhere.
So this is from 1999, and I can't remember much about it.
You got a running theme going with the boat, don't you?
Well, yeah, we don't have a trailer, we don't have a big truck, but we had a
School
16-foot sailboat and a trailer we could hitch on the back of the car.
Oh yeah, Y2K was a big thing back then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we survived that. I forget why we had the lacrosse thing on top of our ersatz mask. It's not a lacrosse. It's snowshoes. Hey, look, 1999 was a long time ago.
I guess so.
But that gets us to 2000. And this was the absolute best one. In 2000, the theme was, I remember, was to salute our volunteers.
Yeah.
And I got some people to get into trouble with me. And, oh, wait a minute, I forgot. We got a trophy in 1999. Forgot to show you that. And this too bears the place of honor in our living room.
Yeah.
So, in 2000, the theme was...
Just so everybody out in TV land knows, we try to give trophies to everybody that participates.
Hey, wait a minute. Now I was feeling impressed. So anyway, salute our volunteers. And of course, when I think salute, I think, like cannon shots, 21 gun salute.
Yeah.
And so I got 2 other crazy people and an assortment of hangers-on. And we produced, some people might know what this is.
I thought it was a T-shirt cannon, but you say it's something else.
Well, it probably works the very same way, which on TV I can't tell anybody how this works, but rather than the usual projectile, which was a potato, we took bread bags, a loaf of bread bag, stuck it in the barrel, and then squirted a bunch of foam in there, foam insulation to make a plug.
Yeah.
Then pushed that down the barrel. And then we filled the barrel with popcorn and lifesavers and lollipops, and we kept it all in abeyance in our landing craft until we got to the front of the judges' stand, which was back in front of Collella's at that point. And we pulled our weaponry out, and one party chickened out, and he didn't fire his off, but 2 of us managed to inundate
You got some rounds off?
the judges with lifesavers and popcorn and paraphernalia. And the young kids of one of the saluters went and hosed down the judges with their super soakers. But
Yikes.
that got us a first prize in the children's division.
Did you really? Nice.
It did. And my other good story was, you were talking about getting hosed going down Hayden Row Street.
Yeah.
And when you're in the parade, you're kind of limited how much water you can take. And I realized I forgot one of my other props. I have an F-85 pilot's helmet that someone gave me. And so it has a visor that you can pull down. And there was this really bad guy out on Hayden Row Street. He had a garden hose.
Oh,
and
boy.
he was soaking everybody with no quarter. And so,
no compassion at all.
well, my crew kept him occupied. I snuck around behind his back, and I shut off the hose. And then we got him pretty good. So those are all my stories of the Horribles parade.
Yeah, one year I was kind of the escort for Carolyn Dykema. She wanted to come in the parade, but she didn't want to walk. But it was kind of her first parade, first time she was our representative. So I put her in a golf cart, and I took her through the parade route. But she wore this kind of paper outfit, and it wouldn't do well with water. So we really had to protect her from water that year, because it would have been quite a parade with a paper outfit on.
And why a paper outfit?
I don't know why she did a paper outfit.
Was not part of the theme of the parade or something?
It might have been. It might have been. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah. But some of the best parts of the day is really not even the parade. Just building the floats in the backyard, with all the neighbors and friends. That's kind of the best part.
Yeah, and I mean, our parades were basically a neighborhood group.
Yeah.
We provided the float in the form of the boat on the trailer and the tow vehicle, and people in the hood were ones that helped out with doing the decorations and making all the stuff that hung up and so forth. And it's a place where you can let your sense of humor out. You can have fun.
Yeah.
And I think, now, okay, I have to tell a story about myself. I got roasted once. And I never had so much fun in my life as being roasted. And I know that my wife and daughter were roped into providing information for the guy that was roasting me. So, you know, having fun poked at you is, you know, I realize that there's a point at which fun is not funny anymore. And maybe my limits of having fun poked at me is, you know, stronger or more long-lasting than others. But, you know, if you're the subject of someone making a joke, it seems to me that means that you're having an impact somewhere.
I think you are, yeah. So a lot of the signs, like, we've been doing it at 30 Elm Street for as long as I can remember. I grew up there. I'm still living there. You know, the Doyles come over and we start kicking around ideas for signs, and most of the good ones kind of hit the cutting room floor. They never quite make it onto the truck, because we have to be careful, but we do have a lot of fun. We do have a lot of fun. So, and just general what happens in town over the year gives us a lot of fodder for signs.
Oh, there's there's too much.
So there's one, I can't remember what committee it was, but there's one committee that I think we might probably work on this year where the chairman just got so frustrated he just left and took
Oh, I
off.
can't imagine what commission that was.
I got to do some research on that one, but
That was
yeah.
not a committee. That was not a committee. It was a commission.
I didn't mean to get you all cranked up. All right, sorry.
People have to listen to a commission. That's the difference. And so, yes, I'll be very disappointed if you fall short of the mark.
And I'm glad your other article at town meeting about trucks not using their brakes didn't pass either.
Well, now listen.
We're gonna put all the trucks in the parade, and we're gonna ride those brakes through the whole parade route,
So
and then go down to your house.
the
and do it again.
story of the development of the Jake brake is a fabulous, fabulous story. And it starts in 1931 when Plessy Cummins, knowing that there was a limited field at Indianapolis, you know, it's the height of the Depression, nobody had any money, he went to someone whose name you might recognize, Eddie Rickenbacker.
Sure, he was a racer.
He was World War I flying ace, and he owned the Indy Speedway.
yeah.
And so Clemens said to him, hey, you know, I'd like to enter a diesel. Well, we've never done that before. And so they said you have to do 4 laps at 80 miles an hour to qualify. And they qualified at 96 point something. I forget
Wow.
exactly what it was. They started dead last, 40th on the grid. They finished 13th. 1 tank of fuel. They never stopped a pit stop. And their marketing bit, Plessy was a marketing genius, they used like $1.40 worth. I think it was 23 gallons, not of diesel fuel, because people in 1931, what's diesel fuel? Home heating oil.
Yeah.
So people could see, hey, this is a cheap way to run your car, blah, 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 blah. So then he wants to set a record. So they're driving from east to west coast in the truck with their diesel race car in the back. It's a diesel-powered truck. And, I forgot Indy, one thing. The car is overheating, the engine's overheating. So back then they had 2 people in each car. This is before we had rear view mirrors. That's where rear view mirrors were invented. And so the driver's assistant is signaling to the pit crew that, you know, the engine's running hot, what do we do? And the guy in charge of the pit crew couldn't find the cheat sheet to know what the signal meant. This is another name you might recognize, Jimmy Doolittle. And for those who don't know, Jimmy Doolittle led the famous raid shortly after Pearl Harbor, where we flew 16 fixed-wing B-25 bombers off of 1 aircraft carrier. The first ones had like 400 feet to take off. A pretty amazing accomplishment. But anyway, so Jimmy Doolittle had organized all of that and got that all off the ground, didn't have the thing to confirm what these people were telling them. So they finished the race with the car overheating. And like I said, came in 13th. So anyway, now they're driving cross country. And they're on, Route 66. They're going into California. They're going down a long downgrade.
Yeah.
This is 1930.
You really researched this
I
town
did.
meeting article,
I
didn't you?
did. I had more fun, and I don't really care whether the article passed or not, because I learned so much stuff. And I haven't even gotten how Jake brakes work.
I know. I've noticed that. We've gone to like 2 minutes on.
So they're going down
Racing
this
here.
long downgrade in this truck with the car in the back, and 3 people in the cab. And it's 1931, and brakes weren't so good back then. And they're downshifting, and it's a diesel, and diesels don't give you very much engine braking. And now, if you want the next, we kind of leave off right here.
Okay,
That's the way.
Can we go back to our shameless plug here?
That's the way the silent movies went, you know, back then.
Anybody out there that wants to participate in the parade, get in touch with me, get in touch with Ed, get in touch with HCAM. They can find me, and we can help you and put you in the right direction. And the more people, the merrier. It's a lot of fun.
And you go around clockwise, for whatever that's worth.
I didn't notice that, but okay.
Yeah, you do. The route is clockwise,
All right, good, good.
which is maybe significant.
It may be. I doubt it, but it's significant to you.
So anyway, I look forward to seeing people at the Horribles parade. I make no promises to being anything other than a spectator.
Okay. Well, you will be I'm sure you'll be part of a sign or something. I'm sure of it.
Well, I mean,
Don't bring that. I don't think Chief Bennett will let you fire that off anymore. Those days are long gone.
thank you all.
Ed,
Thank you, Dan.
thanks for inviting me. It's been fun.
It has been fun.